don't do this ever. We were just listening to music from the 90s.
Is that why you were just playing that song?
Yeah, dude, because I forgot. I didn't forget about the song, but
Yeah.
it was one of the songs.
That
we listened to.
nostalgia is just calling upon you.
Yeah, dude, like Sugar Ray, dude. You ever listen to Sugar Ray?
Remind me now.
Every morning.
That
You know.
well, that did not ring a bell at all. What you got to do is give me
I'm not gonna
a
sing.
tune.
I'm not gonna sing for you, brother.
God damn, can't get you.
But dude, like it's very nostalgic. I love 90s music so much. I mean, because I grew up then, so it's like that's my music.
Yeah, we're 90s kids for sure. And it's good music, by the way. Good music.
But I mean, everybody thinks that about their generation, though. Is their music is the best
but
music.
No. I used to think that way. However, here's what happened. For example, dance music.
I used to think that way, but I'm right and everybody else is wrong.
Well, I'm going to prove that to you right now. The 2000s?
Yeah.
Still right now, the club music, like the dance music, is that 2000 era. It's like even the kids from nowadays who are like snobby a little bit about their music taste. Yeah. They're like, yeah. They did it better then.
I mean, I went to high school in the early 2000s.
Okay.
And the late 90s, those like, my first year of high school was actually the year 2000. That was my freshman year.
Yeah. Don't date yourself.
Well, no, 2001.
Okay.
Was my first year.
Yeah.
So from 2001 to 2004, boom. I mean, 38. I don't give a fuck if I date myself. Bro. I'm old.
Nah, you're good, and it's good to see you this week. Welcome to episode 11. Officially,
dude, you got it right. Look at you.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about it for the past 3 seconds, so I had to do it. Yeah. So, welcome to episode 11 of the Barely a Podcast with me, Teddy, and Chris. I got Chris next to me.
Yeah.
Welcome, my brother.
What is up? Dude, it's been a busy week for us, actually.
It has been.
So I'm going to do a little update. We are now officially sponsored here on Barely a Podcast by, I want to thank Jeremy from the Quartering. You should check him out. He's a good guy. He sponsored us with his coffee company, Coffee Brand Coffee. And if you visit coffeebrandcoffee.com and use promo code BARELY, and for Teddy, so he can get this right, BARELY, is the promo code that you use at checkout.
And how many percent off?
You get 5% off your order.
Cool. And once we get set up with our website, we'll have an affiliate link up there. So
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it set up. I'll post it. I'll post a link in the description of the episode. But not only is this good that we're sponsored, but I actually I bought Coffee Brand Coffee. Yeah, it's actually pretty good. Me that, because I bought it when he started the coffee company. Yeah, it's good. It's good coffee. And if it wasn't, I would not sponsor it. Like, even though we're new and we're like, we're not say desperate, but we want sponsorship and we want stuff like that. Yeah. I wouldn't do this if I couldn't personally back the product. Yep,
you said so. You've said so that much previously, even before the sponsorship. Obviously, you were a long-time user. Of the company's product. Yeah. I went on their website to check out their products, and guess what they have?
They got your Ethiopian.
They got my Ethiopian goody coffee right there. Yeah. And could there be a better person to give a testament to how good our coffee is? Could there be a better person? Dude, I know you don't think Ethiopia is a real
garbage,
country.
Dude. Well, I don't know, dude. We don't have any listeners from your hometown, so I mean, it's like.
Well, you never know, but the thing is,
so I can't believe that this country exists.
For anyone who's gonna try their product, I would highly recommend starting out with whatever you're usually accustomed to, but also try out the Ethiopian coffee, the light roasted coffee.
Yeah.
I just put an order in.
It's good. It tastes like caramel.
Yeah,
like
it does have caramel.
It's a very caramel flavor.
Yeah, they have a description of that, like how good, like the degree of roasting. Oh well, the website is well made.
Yeah, so they also, another good thing about them is they roast their beans on order. So like when you order, they will roast your beans before they package it. They can also grind it. They do K-cups as well, and they do. And they can just send it to you whole bean roasted. And then they also have snacks. They got like chocolate covered coffee beans. They got teas. They've got cocos.
Yeah.
They've got a variety of stuff. I started buying to them when he had like 5 different coffees.
Yeah.
So like the amount of selection that there is now from when the coffee company started it's night and day.
Yeah, I'm getting into that coffee business myself. My business is in like drinking coffee.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a good.
Coffee is my lifeblood, man. I would die without it.
For sure. Yeah, we thank our good friends at Coffee Brand Coffee. Check out their website, coffeebrandcoffee.com.
Definitely.
Thank you for the sponsorship.
And also another shout out.
Yeah.
Well, to the Z-listers. They subscribe to us.
The podcast?
Yeah, they are a podcast, and they liked one of our episodes, which was episode 6, the Mighty Bodily Dysmorphia Rangers.
Yeah,
and they liked that episode, and they subscribed to us after that. So if you want, you guys go show them some love.
That's awesome. We love that.
Yeah, that
support from fellow creators.
We really do appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Anyways,
yeah,
now that we're done with our appreciations.
That was a lot.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's only 2 things, but I mean, that's a busy week for us.
Correct. Well, yes. I mean, among other things, of course.
Yeah, among other things in our lives. But podcast-wise, that's pretty busy.
Yeah.
And good news for us.
Absolutely. You thought about talking, because we did talk about solving racism on an episode.
Well, it's solved, right?
Which we did already.
We did. I mean, it was hard work.
Not that anything is left, is what I'm saying. Not that there's any trouble left in the world of racism.
Well,
but we thought
just one thing left. We got to squash, brother. Just one thing left.
What is that?
Since we got CRT, also known as critical race theory.
Not cathode ray tubes.
No, not cathode ray tubes. Not like the TVs from back in the day.
Not back in the day.
I fucking miss those, man.
Yeah, but that's another call out to your nostalgia. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like we were talking about those, I think, on Sunday. Yeah. Like the old, when you turn the knob, the funk. Like the heavy ass turn of the knob. Yeah, I miss that. But yeah, so like, what's your opinion on critical race theory? Do you know a lot about it or no?
Yeah, I do. Well, I've read a couple of articles before, and here's what prompted me to look into it. Every time that topic comes up, you know what is ubiquitous on social media? It's like some expert getting asked what it is after them having talked about it, and not being able to define it.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's one of the funniest things in the world. Like,
I can give you a little definition of it. Right? It's looking at. Pretty much from the perspective that everything in your life is affected by race. Pretty much the legal system, societal systems, and stuff like that. And I'm not against it in higher academia. So like in the university level, stuff like that, because that is like a higher thought experiment concept.
Correct. Like you would not talk about scripture in terms of its religious implication, but as a scripture, like as a literary critic.
So
right?
and again, this isn't fact. This is still theory. So I'm not against that. What I'm against is what they're calling critical race theory in schools, right? Like because they want to move this down to like the K through 12 kind of area, which I'm against, because the kind of stuff that they're proposing is like kind of preposterous.
Yeah.
Like black kids can't learn math the same way white kids learn it. But the most successful people in the math field aren't even white people. It's Asians. Asians excel at math far more, and they have a more rigorous like education when it comes to math than we do here in America. Like our education system is in the trash in comparison.
Correct. You can trace back their excellence into a hard
like if you go, I mean that's why the suicide rate in Japan's so freaking high, because the pressure to succeed is so up there, like societally pushed on people that it's insurmountable.
It's a different expectation for kids. Yeah. Well, I agree with most of what you're saying. So, like you said, it's an academic framework. That's what it used to be.
Yeah.
It started out, so it's not a new concept. So, like you said. In the academia world, higher intellectual levels.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with it there.
It used to be, because that's where you sort of explore new thoughts.
Yeah,
that would probably come down to
what I see happening in schools is like in this, like I don't see the utility of this like at all. And I've seen countless videos. This might be a small subsect. I've just seen a lot of videos of it, and they're all different.
Yeah.
But teachers doing these oppression lines. Mm-hmm. So it's like you all your students stand in line, and they're like, if you're white, take a step forward, and then if you grew up with if you have two parents in your household, take a step forward and stuff like that. And all this does is divide people, right? So now you just did otherisms. So now one group feels anger towards another group because they feel like they're better than them, and the other group feels guilty for something that they can't control.
Yeah.
So it just makes everybody feel bad. So this I don't understand the good that comes from it.
Yeah, you've touched on one of the few things that are criticisms leveled against CRT, which is that creation of like more divisiveness is an issue, and then just making human nature exclusively about race is another issue. Well, this is not exhaustive. Obviously, there are other criticisms leveled against this. What I want to tell our listeners is, because CRT is right now making the rounds.
Yeah,
it's not a new concept.
Oh no,
it's been explored in higher academia, but most likely, usually in the legal aspect.
Well, of it, yeah, because first it was
just legal,
critical legal studies.
Yes,
that was the first iteration, and then after that, it was critical race theory.
Correct.
So it was first CLS, and now it's CRT.
Yeah. And another significant thing happened in this week regarding the Supreme Court. So we'll get into that later.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, but I think it might be a good thing.
I actually agree with you. Yeah. So we briefly talked about a conversation between, I don't want to go all over the place, but...
affirmative action.
Affirmative action, yeah. Steven Crowder having a conversation with that girl on campus grounds. The points that he was making are legit, but here's what I want to caution against, okay?
Okay.
There is something to be said for, without making it exclusively about race, in terms of opportunities afforded to minorities. There is something to be said about, the fact that this person was marginalized or grew up in a marginalized minority could have not afforded them some opportunities that like a privileged white kid or whatever, Asian, whatever, another privileged black kids would have had, right?
Yes.
But this would be exclusively, usually I think would be like geographical in nature. I don't think it should be race-based.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. It should be like
socioeconomic and then geographical. For example, somebody coming from Detroit, like like downtown Baltimore, like the projects, they've been exposed to just drugs and prostitution and just bad culture, like
gang violence,
negative environments, right?
Yeah. But my problem with it before, right, is like, and this is, I don't have that shit pulled up because I didn't know if we were going to talk about it now, but most of the kids who get in on affirmative action to these higher, like these universities, they flunk out.
Correct.
And it's because
I don't know if
it's
most,
because it's like 60%.
Okay, I'm not sure with that number. Okay, but
it's because the bar set low, but the education doesn't lower to meet that standard.
Yeah,
the education stays where it is.
Well, you have to survive
there. But the bar, the cost of entry, education-wise, is lowered.
Yes,
and I think that's a detriment to those students because now they're in student loan debt for a university
that they could not have potentially completed. Yeah. Well, I understand your concern in that regard. We agree that for some socioeconomic status disadvantaged children, kids that would have not had the chance just purely because of financial reasons.
Yeah, financial reasons, absolutely. But based off education, like your SAT score or your entrance exam, that shouldn't be lowered. It should just be one bar set for everybody. Asian kids shouldn't have to score X amount of points higher than white kids to get in.
Yeah, it gets pretty squirrely when you start talking in regards to race.
Yeah,
because I don't know if you remember the book. Do you know the bell curve? Have you ever heard about the bell curve? Yeah. So that is super in the academia world.
Yeah, I didn't read a book on it, but I know what the bell curve is.
Yeah. So that's a hugely controversial topic.
Yeah,
which some people say it has some medical and scientific grounds, empirical grounds for. But here's what it does, right? It just slaps on some kind of presupposition to individuals just because of their race, right? Yeah. That's where you don't want to start off. Yeah. But this starts both for this applies for both for the positive and the negative, right? Just because something is negative, you don't want to presuppose. Just because something is positive, you don't want to presuppose. Exactly. It just shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, and again, it's not that I want opportunities taken away from anybody. I want everybody to have equal opportunity to do everything. I am pro equal opportunity. I am against equity.
Equitable. Okay. Yeah. So the only thing I would want to say is, especially like in developing countries, women, right? So you can also see this in from the gender perspective.
I agree, but when we talk, mostly we're talking about
like for women, where we in the developed world, where we have, for the most part, guaranteed universal suffrage and gender equality, it doesn't seem to be an issue in terms of gender. But I remember growing up, I'll tell you a story. My dad, I was a kid, right? And he's fairly young.
Whoa, you were a kid?
I was a kid.
I thought you came out an adult.
Yeah.
Just a full-grown man.
That's how we do it back home in Ethiopia.
Yeah, we just come out full-grown.
We just come out like full-grown with a beard and like, Mama, I'm just going to set off now.
I'm actually 3 years old.
So I remember him. So when I was 3, he left for India, did his master's, came back. He wanted to do his PhD. And he got a bunch of opportunities where he was writing back and forth. And I remember him making it to the last the short list of 5 people, right?
Yeah.
And I remember on 4 different occasions, he lost the post to a woman because of affirmative action.
Yeah.
Now, there was some brief bitterness about that, but then he and I talked about it. My dad was that kind of father where he would talk to me about serious stuff growing up. And it's like, but if you really look at it from opportunity perspective, they might not really be like academically where I'm at.
Yeah.
Like they might not have like the credentials on paper like I have, but you can clearly see how they could have how they could see how it's fair, right? Like they would have never had that opportunity at this time had it not be me foregoing that post.
I can see that in some positions, but not for all. Right?
Oh, of course not. So it shouldn't be the rule.
I think generally the best person for the job should be hired, no matter who it is. A white man, a black woman, Asian guy, whoever's best for the job.
Yeah, employment is different. We're talking about this affirmative action. It would be different, right? Yeah. But of course,
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like, so this is like the math book that was denied, which I'm glad it was. It's titled "A Pathway to Equitable Math Instruction." So
as if like a different kind of instruction would be given a certain race.
They say the journey is the most important part in math, and not the answer. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you don't get them damn answers right,
that universal language of mathematics is 1.
Yeah, it
doesn't really.
Yeah, because in CRT, objective answers shouldn't exist. So 1 plus 1.
How did they get to that? Do you know?
I don't know. Yeah. I've done a lot of. I have their tenets pulled up right here. Yeah, I'm gonna go over some of them.
Yeah.
Right, so like their first one is races socially constructed, not biological in nature.
They do say it's a social construct.
Yeah. So
you're like, I got a black man in front of me.
I mean, come on, man. Like how?
So I'll tell you what they're thinking in this regard. I'm just playing the devil's advocate, okay?
Yeah, I know.
Obviously, it's not a social construct. There are clear phenotypical difference between human in the human race. So, but I think what they're hedging at is they're thinking that bell curve, that perception that we have with race, is purely hypothetical. Yeah. And there's better ways to say this.
Yeah, but
There's better ways to say it.
That's not true, though.
There's better ways to say it. Well, no, here's what they're saying. Well, here's what the opposite of the bell curve is saying. It's like you and I would have the same intellectual capacity in terms of cognition.
Yeah.
Right? The bell curve would have you suppose, no, there is biologically mandated cognitive competence difference among races, which you don't want to. I mean, if there is some empirical evidence for it, okay, go ahead. But when you tack on the whole concept of race to it, it becomes extremely controversial.
Well, not just controversial, it kind of falls apart a little bit.
And then it becomes racist.
Yeah, if you disagree with it, you're now racist. And then, that's the first one. So they go out the gate with that. Mm-hmm. Race is a social construct, not biological nature. And
but you see where the thinking is, right?
I can I'll steal man a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the day, determining what was white or not, because Italians weren't considered white at one point and stuff like that. They're called like skivs or serfs or something like that.
There's another one.
But
with a G.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But but other than that, I mean, that hasn't applied to anybody else. We haven't been like, what does black mean? Like, we haven't considered who is black and who isn't black, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because based off this, Eminem would be black, right? Because he socially grew up in a black area.
But you see what they're doing, though,
yeah,
right?
I know. But based off that argument, Eminem would be black. Barack Obama would be white. I mean, socially.
It's just a bad way to start their argument. It's just a terrible way to start their argument. Like, why would you want to start by saying it's a social construct?
Okay. Their second tenet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Racism in the United States is normal, not aberrational. It is an ordinary experience of most colored people.
Yeah. So this is what they're saying here is, and I've read this, all right?
Yeah,
so,
I know you have.
Yeah. And the commentary that I'm making is not to explain away what they're saying. It's just to expound upon what they might possibly be thinking.
Yeah,
they're saying everybody who is not white experiences racism is what they're saying.
Yeah.
Which is not true.
I'm not discounting that notion. I'm sure that people of color have experienced racism at some point in their life.
Yes.
On a day-to-day basis. I find that far-fetched.
Yes. So this is the kind of problem you run into when you take what needed to be an isolated consideration of the legal implications or ramifications of race, and then expand it to every social every social affairs of the society, right?
Yeah,
that's what you run into. Oh, education, race.
Yeah,
entertainment, race.
Yeah.
Traffic, race. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, based off this argument, right?
Correct.
It's like you can blame anything on race. So you go outside, your car doesn't start.
Yes.
Fucking racist.
Exactly.
That white supremacist car.
Literally, if you call out a black person or an Asian person about something, it's not because of the merits of what they did or said. It's only because of their race.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So you can attribute
and
almost
this is
everything.
The worst thing
you can do.
Yes.
And this is what I told you about one of the criticisms, which I actually agree with against CRT, which is you don't make it exclusively about race.
Yeah.
It just becomes this myopic view, a single lens view of everything through race. Then you have no space for anything. There's no other consideration.
Oh, absolutely not, man. Yeah. This is ridiculous. And these are just the first two tenets. So they're starting out the gate with some mass absurdities here, man. And I want to, it gets harder and harder to defend the more I read.
Yeah.
And I defend it in higher academia, but it's still...
Correct.
It's rough. It hurts me.
And it would...
As a white man, it hurts me.
Yeah, your goddamn privilege.
My privilege, dude.
I'll tell you
this. Just reeking of
it will help on our part to show where we think CRT would be useful.
Yeah, some days
just to see.
Some days I just have to go home and wash all this white privilege off. It's just so
you're
much.
reeking with it.
It's so much
because we're having to record today's episode in my study.
Yeah,
it now smells like white privilege.
Dude, it smells awesome in here.
Yeah, it does.
Basking it.
I'm wafting it, dude, the whole time. Yeah, but it would help, just to show us, like you said, Stillman some of their points. It's at least where we both seem to agree on in higher academia, but that's just a discussion, right?
Yeah.
But also the applications of it, or the implications of race in legal system is,
I mean, yeah,
pretty good to consider.
Yeah. Well, in the past, I don't think there's anything currently on the books.
I actually disagree. I think it's really good to consider, because if you just look at the demography of incarcerated individuals in America, it's disproportionately black. Now, just considering with the ratio of the population of them,
yes,
are offenders overwhelmingly black? I don't know. You can make some ratio out of there.
Well, in some places, like probably in like Chicago.
Wait, that's like 80% black.
Well, but there's a lot of gang violence
for sure.
Chicago,
no, I understand
Detroit, and Philadelphia.
I understand that, but what the environment this has created is there is disproportionate profiling.
Well, yeah, I mean these are socioeconomic problems, right?
Yes,
and like they should be.
Well, that's the cause, right? Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, even just the legal implications of it is now there is higher profiling of black men. So it is possible that more black men are non-judiciously being incarcerated.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that can be said about anybody across the board, though. I mean, it might be. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't have hard numbers on this, but I mean, it's possible. It's completely possible.
This is why I'm saying. You see, this is why you and I both agree that you need to consider: could there have been some implication of race, the way individuals are raised up, the family values, location of.
I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of this
school quality. Yeah, it's a detailed thing, right?
Multivariate equation.
Exactly, but this would be what I would imagine is
that's what you would hope would be CRT.
CRT, right? Yeah.
But, so that it gets us to the third tenet, right? Which is legal advances or setbacks for people of color only tend to serve the interests of the dominant white groups.
You see, so this is what we just talked about, but say it in a bad way.
Yeah, so
like horrible way to say it.
Yeah, I mean, it is like, I mean, yes, in the past, I'm going to tell you right now, blockbusting, redlining, those positively affected white groups, and it was pushed by Democratic politicians. Both of those policies were, which most black people still vote for.
Correct.
Democrats. It's like you vote for the people who fuck you over. The most.
People forget.
So, but yeah, in that sense, in the past, I absolutely agree with that statement, that tenet right there. I don't see anything on the books, and I'm not saying that there's not racism, because even though we solved it, it's hard to squash it out, man.
Yeah.
We're trying to get
not as of episode. What was that episode?
Yeah, 7.
Hey, did I stump Chris?
I think it was 7.
Okay, not since episode 7, obviously. But before that.
Before that, I know, man. I mean, this past month, no racism.
Now, would you? But like I said, I have to reiterate this. I agree. Our legal system needs to consider the ramifications of race, like we talked about, but it should not lay the blame on every white individual in America right now. What are you doing?
Well, I mean, for the most part, dude, I think like CRT just like stands to divide. That's literally what it looks like.
I could see that.
Again, not against it in higher academia. I don't see I don't see the utility of pushing this on younger kids, because now what I think you're going to do to younger kids is just ingrain racism into them, right? So now they think that no matter what they do, they can't succeed. So why bother trying, right? If this is ingrained at you from a young age,
correct,
going forward. If you're told you're never gonna make it,
this is an inescapable
because you're X race.
Yeah, this is an inescapable element of your personality.
And Y race is the race that's not letting you be able to make it.
Yeah, that's not a message you want.
It's not. I mean,
a 12-year-old.
I mean that creates the disparity that they talk about, right? If you're told that no matter what you do, you're never gonna accomplish it.
Yeah.
Then
why bother?
Why? Most people will be like, why try?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's obviously one of the things that I can see being a problem, right? Yeah. A 12-year-old being told, you are 95% the product of your, your race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're nothing else. You're just a black man or an Asian man or whatever, you know. Yeah. You're nothing else. That's it. There's nothing else cool about you.
This is almost like mandating the stereotypes.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Which brings us to our fourth tenet. Members of the minority groups periodically undergo differential racialization or the attribution to them of varying sets of negative stereotypes. Yeah. Again, depending on the needs or interests of the whites.
Yeah. The verbiage is pretty alarming.
Well, I mean, are like some there are some negative stereotypes, but like
nothing that you cannot really chalk up to levity. I mean, make a joke out of it and just fucking survive. You know,
but like it's.
We should have an episode.
Like what? Okay, so like one of the stereotypes is like Hispanics are lazy or whatever.
I think it's blacks
which they're not. They're like one of the most productive.
No, I think it's black people that are lazy.
That might be too. But it's like, how does that help white people?
Well, here's how.
Explain it to me, brother.
Here's how.
Explain it to me.
Well, when you want
when a man loves a woman,
it's like the birds and the bees.
Yeah,
but for grown-ups. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is. Like it's like.
But you see, but do you not see like a common thread in these points that we've been discussing?
Yeah, exactly. It's to blame everything on race,
and then it's just overwhelming generalization.
Yeah.
Of like exclusively seeing everything in light of race.
Yeah.
It just does no good. Like
it doesn't, man.
Yeah, it's not an empowering message to send to young children.
I think people get the idea for the tenets.
Yeah.
Like it's points like that. It's like it does nothing but divide and separate and try to keep everybody down, keep everybody miserable.
Yeah.
Keep like one group feeling guilty, one group feeling like they're oppressed and filled with anger. And that's going to eventually breed in hostility, and it's going to be acted on physically some way. Mm-hmm. Like if you're especially if you're teaching, because there was a school, I can't remember where I saw this, but it's like an elementary school, and like a bunch of black kids corralled a bunch of white kids and forced them to say Black Lives Matter, but it was like an elementary school. I need to go look that up again. I don't have that. It just popped into my head. But this is the division I see this creating, this kind of thought process.
I mean, it's like I said, it's not a message you want it to impressionable kids. This becomes their entire world. It defines their identity.
So like there's in like that math book I brought up earlier.
Yeah.
So they have math problems in it, right? But this is remember the word problems?
Yeah.
They'll be like, someone picks X amount of apples. This one, so they had one, and I don't remember the exact names, but they're like, Derek is a white man and he gets pulled over by the cops 3 times a year. Jeremy is a black man and he gets pulled over 15 times a year. How many percentage points more does Jeremy get pulled over than Derek?
Yeah,
and it's like that is a math problem.
Yeah,
but why did you have to add the extra stuff?
Yeah, it's like so I would imagine the teacher that did this is a woke.
Oh, absolutely, man.
Virtue signaling, just wanted some clout. Whatever. They're not really concerned with, you know what I'm gonna do today? I'm gonna do 2 things. I'm gonna teach math, but I'm also gonna teach a valuable lesson about how we need to
if you're a math teacher,
do away with this.
You only have to teach one thing. That's
just do the math. Just forget your identity, your political ideology. Just keep that out of the classroom.
Like
teach math.
I've said this too many times. When I was in high school, elementary school, middle school,
Miss Dorothy,
I did not know anything about my teachers other than their name and the subject they taught.
Yeah. That's a clear example of somebody stepping over their bounds.
Yeah, if I know more than that about you, that's too much. Like you're my teacher.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be somewhat a professional kind of setting.
Yeah, I mean, listen to me. I mean, if you're a teacher and you are trying to impose some kind of ideal, I know classrooms need to be more like they need to encompass all sorts of things about life and stuff. You know, you don't want to be like a monotonic single thing. Yeah. But this is not how you do it.
Like Ben Stein.
Yeah, you don't want to be like that, right? Yeah. But this is you betraying your charge as an academia.
Try clear eyes.
Are you doing monotone?
This is Ben Stein.
Jesus, don't make
you
me
remember those commercials?
No.
The Ben Stein?
No.
Oh my God, they're so funny because he's such a monotone person.
Okay. Did this run in the 90s?
Yeah.
Okay, in the 90s I was in Ethiopia, buddy. I was looking at a different.
Yeah, tell me about your made-up country again, dude.
So, I mean, we've pretty much said most of what we wanted to about CRT.
Yeah, it's rough, man.
I do want to caution against pushing back against this kind of movements, right? But in such a way, I want to word it. Okay. Like in a more precise way, so it doesn't become construed as I'm saying different things. I completely disagree pushing this kind of ideology on kids that have not yet learned to rationalize, take into consideration different topics, look up things and research them and just understand multifaceted concepts. You don't want to do that. This is not where you want to discuss this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
The legal ramifications of race need not be rejected, need not be overlooked. It's a serious issue. Overwhelming majority of people incarcerated in America right now are black. One can discuss ad nauseum the causes of this.
You say percentage-wise.
I could look
based
up the
on
numbers.
Population.
Correct.
Yeah, based on population percentage-wise.
Yeah,
but
we do also have. We do also have an incarceration problem. Like for 350 million people, we incarcerate the most in the world.
Well,
right?
it's dropped off a lot since most states decriminalized.
That's
marijuana.
Still the highest for some reason.
Well, I know, but I'm saying since most states decriminalized marijuana.
Yes.
It's incarceration has dropped.
Correct. But keep in mind,
I'm not saying we're not high. We're
pretty high up there.
But it's because we don't do anything to rehabilitate, right?
Correct.
Which is a problem. Yeah. I mean, I've worked in the prison.
Yeah, you can
system.
speak to this more.
I can speak to this.
Yeah.
There's no rehabilitation done.
Correct.
There are classes that people can take, but the vast majority of inmates are not incentivized to take these classes.
There's no reintegration into society happening.
No, not really.
Yeah. Most of them become repeat offenders, right?
A bunch of times I've seen multiple people come in, they get out and they're right back in.
Yeah.
But the and then on top of that, if they do that multiple times, they're here in Texas. I don't know about other places. So we got state jail offenders. Mm-hmm. So the maximum amount of sentence you can get for state jail is 2 years.
Yeah.
But they're more the low level crimes, right? Mm-hmm. Then you got your TDCJ.
What's that?
Which they're like your felony offenders.
Okay.
And they are in for decades mostly.
Yeah.
If you do state jail stuff a bunch of times, you get promoted to TDCJ, brother, after a amount of times. Yeah. So that's pretty much you're creating lifelong prisoners.
Correct.
By not rehabilitating, and some people shouldn't be like rapists, murderers, child molesters, stuff like that. Definitely not for.
And we'll talk about this some other episode in detail. But I suppose I seem to be one saying we need to do away with private prisons. I don't think that's helping us.
They don't run well. I worked at a private prison. They're not incentivized to fix anything because our prison was a mess.
In fact, they're incentivized to put more ass in those cells, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're incentivized to keep people incarcerated.
Correct.
None of our cameras worked. None of the doors worked electronically. We had a manually key turn, so we had to carry keys on us at all times.
That's dangerous.
It was dangerous. I got attacked several times when I worked at the prison.
Yeah, that's shocking to me. Yeah, it's a shit show there.
Yeah, I got jumped, dude.
Good Lord.
I got stabbed. I got jumped.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
only Chris would, in passing, say something like that,
yeah,
and it'd be true because he told me this. I would never bring it up. Just wait for him to bring it up. But my bro got stabbed.
Yeah.
Where was it?
Right next to my groin.
They could have gone to general, eh?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, he tried to go underneath my stab vest.
Yeah. Oh, because you were wearing that.
Yeah, because I worked in intake, and we had to wear stab vests.
And intake would be your first point of contact when you. Oh God! So you would be the one to pat them down.
I processed them and I ran the dorm that they were in.
Yeah.
Called C dorm.
But it's a newbie, like it's unknown.
Yeah.
You could get a wild card.
Yeah. So they're waiting to go into general population.
Yeah.
So they have to.
Don't say general population. Say it like they
Gen
say.
Pop.
There you go, buddy. Come on.
So they're waiting.
Use the lingo.
They're waiting. They're waiting to get processed through, because they have to be there. It's like it takes them a while to process them into the system to find out where they can put them.
Yeah.
And they gotta wait for bunks to empty too. So sometimes we're full up, so they gotta stay in my dorm way longer than they need to be. Yeah. And they get restless because they're like real eager. Most of them are real eager to get into Gen Pop.
Yeah.
But so they go out there, and
that's
like
crazy.
So I pretty much the 5 years I was there, I seen every inmate.
It was 5?
Yeah.
I thought it was just 2.
No.
Why did I think it was 5?
I don't know.
Was it maybe Pam? Another colleague
maybe Pam. I don't know. But so I got to see every inmate pass through me.
Correct. That would be that would. Yeah, that's.
And so I got to see every return offender too. So
and you can see it's a revolving door.
It is a revolving door, and it sucks.
But you see, so the reason I brought that up is I think we can at least study some aspects of that reason that we were talking about. And we do agree it's multifaceted issue. It's not just one thing. It's multiple elements to this. So at least studying the effects of race, people, the way they're brought up, family values, like socioeconomic implications of exposure to academia, the quality of it, what kind of public schools do kids go to, what's their role model, right? What kind of culture do they have? What are they exposed to? All these things need to be seen and studied in terms of race, because that culture tends to be exclusive to a certain group of people, right? Like hip hop is a black thing.
I can tell you the population of the prison I was at. Asian was the lowest. Blacks were the second lowest. Hispanics were the second highest.
Was it like south?
It was like maybe like 30 minutes from here.
Okay, so this is obviously the south. So we do have a higher Hispanic
population. And then the most were
here.
whites.
Interesting.
Yeah.
For example, I lived in McAllen, right?
Yeah.
It's 20 minutes from the border.
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty sure that's 98% of the population there is Hispanic.
Yeah.
So we're not talking. It's not homogenous, obviously. Not every prison is stock full of like just brothers in there.
Yeah.
It's obviously like affected by what state and where they're at. But you understand what I'm saying, right? It's good to study the merits of how race affects.
I know. I am just speaking based off.
Correct.
I'm not. I know the incarceration based off percentage is higher in the black population.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, and it's good to study.
That's a lot. It's a lot of reasons.
Yeah, but this needs to be the extent of this kind of studies and considerations.
Yeah, I think this stops that from happening though.
Correct.
CRT.
Yes.
It's like people don't want to engage with it when you come at absurdities that everything in your life that goes wrong is because of white people.
Imagine having a conversation with a white person who is
imagine Teddy having a conversation.
Well, hear the whole story first.
Why would you start off like that? Imagine having a conversation with a white person and then you just stop there.
Yeah, and I just a long pause. But imagine having a conversation and you start labeling. So here's what's happening.
Yeah.
You're evil.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Everything you ever have, you never earned.
Yeah.
You're entitled. Yeah. Your privilege is automatically given to you.
Yeah.
Everyone else, just by your mere presence, is offended.
It's oppressed.
But let's talk right now. You see, how do we go about this now?
Well, I mean, jeez, man.
It's not the way you want to have a cordial conversation.
It's not.
It doesn't tend to be productive.
No, not at all.
But why do you think they extended it to, especially like pushing this on children and maybe talking about like everything?
Well, I think there's like I think most teachers by past standards have been more left leaning. Just in general, I've known most of my teachers have been more hippie-ish than conservative. Mostly it's like the coaches that feel like they've been the more conservative type of people. Yeah. They're like the hard work kind of pushing thing.
An ex-cop.
And then like guy, and then like the English teachers, the math teachers have been more like liberal.
But you were nobody. I've heard a word about CRT. When
No, they didn't. But I think it has a lot to do with social media and people wanting to, I guess, clout chase.
Correct.
Which is what it is.
I think it's the same perversion that we saw with the Black Lives Matter movement.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like some people want a virtue signal, some people are just out to get money.
Yeah. So like that's why I hate the organization Black Lives Matter. Horrible. Yeah. I don't have any problem with the movement, the organization. Exactly. They fucked the black community over so hard.
Absolutely.
So hard. And everybody kept sending them money. We're like, hey, don't send them money. Look at what they're fucking doing with it. Yeah. They're buying themselves mansions and all this.
Isn't it crazy? There's always some asshole that just ruins the movement.
Yeah. It's like, fuck, man.
It's the betrayal. It's a kind of like it's poetic almost, like evil.
Yeah.
Like I don't believe in the devil or God. I think this is the kind of evil that I hate. Like I absolutely hate, dude. You can't betray someone else's trust.
No.
You can't come across this virtue signaling. Just sounds like a harmless, like kind of benign thing to do. Yeah. Maybe like the victimless kind of crime. Yeah. No, you are what could have been. Yeah. You know, when Black Lives Matter. I wish the verbiage was slightly different, or maybe say differently. It didn't become this movement that became slightly violent at times.
Yeah.
I wish it didn't go down there to that level. But remember what could have been, dude. Yeah. What could have been where if it was done honestly and in the right way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what most things are, right? If most things are done honestly, they would turn out better.
Yeah.
Or they would get shut down because they were honest about their intentions and they were bad intentions. Yeah. Like everyone like no.
But this sort of like.
But I mean that's
became spoiled from within.
Yeah. I mean that's most
festered.
That's most activist movements though, right?
Yeah. With the trans movement is the same thing.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, because now there's So there's to get on this topic. There's a group of the people who don't have gender dysphoria and the group that do, right? Mm-hmm. So the group that does have gender dysphoria doesn't really believe that you can be trans without gender dysphoria, which I tend to agree with.
Yeah, kind of makes sense.
So it's like, but the new one comes up with all these neo-pronouns and stuff like that, and so it's the same fucking thing. There's a lot of infighting. That's why I'm saying we don't ever have to fight these groups. We just gotta kind of wait it out.
Let them,
and they'll eat them. They'll eat themselves. Yeah, they'll eat themselves.
I heard somebody. I don't know how he came up on my timeline, but there's one of those trying to sound smartass kind of videos.
Yeah,
but
is it?
I was like, I don't know, but like it was some guy reacting to the video. It was just one of those dumb shits.
Yeah.
But she said something that was interesting. I was like, I never thought of this. Yeah. She's like, how come there aren't any transgender women that transition to men that are begging to go into the men's bathroom?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one-sided, man, because from the trans argument, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't hear anything from the trans men. I don't hear anything from them.
But have you ever heard anybody like complain about not being able to piss in the guys' room?
No. I hear everything
from the trans women.
From the trans women.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's and it's because we made these separate spaces for women to protect them, right?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
But
this becomes immediately like an issue of anatomy.
Yeah.
We have standing urinals.
Yeah.
Good luck navigating that without one of those funnels that you carry with you.
Yeah.
But imagine standing next to a full-grown bearded dude.
Yeah.
Just kind of like.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing
is, you start like cupping a little funnel into your.
So the funny thing about that argument though is that South Park.
Yeah.
I love South Park. They predicted this crap.
They nailed this kind of stuff. Yeah.
So they have this. It was back when PC culture first coming out.
Yeah.
There's this guy, and his name is PC Principal. That's his name. His name is PC Principal.
I don't remember that guy.
That's his given name.
Yeah.
And his
is that the guy that talks like a military guy?
Yeah, but he's got like glasses. He wears sunglasses all the time.
I think I know that guy.
So and then
like Bono.
And then his wife is Strong Woman. That's her name. Her actual name is Strong Woman. So she goes to compete in the women's Olympics, and there's a trans woman there. Doesn't look anything like a woman. It's just literally they put Macho Man Randy Savage in the episode, and he's competing, and he's just crushing all the records.
Yeah,
and it's the absurdity is funny.
You have to see.
But this was like 5 to 10 years before any of this started happening.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of funny to see.
Yeah, we no longer call out absurd stuff that when we see them.
We don't, because now if you call up any of these absurdities, you're a bigot. You're some kind of ist.
Yeah.
If you call out any of these absurdities, you're like, that's not normal.
Yeah.
I mean, I might not be like progressive or quote unquote up with the times, right? I'm just a normal guy from the fucking 90s. I still have a 90s mindset. Yeah. I mean, and like to me, like the 90s was a great time. And it might be because I'm white. It might. I mean, I don't know.
It's okay. You're talking about your lived experience. You know, I understand that.
Yeah.
I can tell. You never have to explain yourself. Like you like the 90s. The 90s were awesome, dude.
Well, I'm just like I think the way people, at least where I was living, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody racist.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody.
And you had black friends, right?
Yeah.
Growing up, I think you had a black friend or two, maybe.
Oh, I had one. I had one black friend in our friend group.
Yeah.
Like when I first moved to Texas, dude.
Yeah.
My best friend was this little black kid who lived down the street.
Yeah.
And he loved Forrest Gump. He loved that fucking movie. We're like fucking 7, dude. And that was his favorite movie. I'd go over and he'd be like, I'm like, what you doing, bud? And he's like, watching Forrest Gump. And I'm like, this movie's fucking boring.
For the 19th time,
yeah.
buddy.
Well, I'm just sitting over there. I'm watching it with him. I'm like, this movie's fucking boring, dude. Because I'm a 7-year-old. Like, I think the movie's good now.
Yeah, of course.
But like as a 7-year-old, I'm like, dude, this movie fucking sucks.
Nah, that a 7-year-old would not find that entertaining.
But he loved it.
Yeah.
Like, we're just sitting there watching this movie together. Yeah. Like, every time I go over to see him, he's sitting there watching Forrest Gump.
He's an old soul.
He worn that fucking VHS tape out.
I was watching Commando, Arnold Schwarzenegger's movie. Yeah. That's what I was watching when I was 7. Oh, hey, I got to tell you this. I watched this video of a guy, one of those dumb prank videos.
Yeah.
Like, stupid. Like, don't waste anybody's time. Pranks used to be fun, dude. Do you remember the 9 Gags show or whatever? Yeah. Or Gags, whatever. Wasn't that great? But the pranks now are like so annoying.
Is he the guy who used to prank his girlfriend? And then he he proposed to her.
Oh,
he pranked her and then proposed to her.
I might have seen.
No. He legit proposed to her.
Yeah,
but he pranked her first. And he goes, "Will you be the woman who I prank for the rest of my life?" or some shit like that.
No, it's not. I'm pretty sure that's not the guy. But he's a black dude.
Okay.
Goes into some hardware store. Walks up to a guy, a white guy, white collar. It looks is dressed up in a suit. Older gentleman, right?
Yeah.
Bold. He walks up to him and is like, so the cops were after me. So outside I saw your car and I stashed in like 9 bricks of cocaine. Now, just chill. No, the guy immediately picks up a phone and is like, are you crazy? Picks up a phone, calls 911, right? And he's talking to them on the phone and he's like, so I was just standing minding my own business. So this guy comes up to me. Now, so far he's doing good, right? Like nothing is happening. He tells me he's putting a bunch of bricks of cocaine in my car. And what did you say to me? So he's trying to sort of like incriminate him. So have him almost confess in the phone while they're listening. And the guy's like, oh, it's 9 bricks. And it's like, yeah, so can you describe the person is with the operators asking him, and he's like, "It's an African American gentleman," and the guy's like, "No, I identify as white." It's like, sorry, he identifies as white. Not skipping a bit, right? Yeah. How would you not say? Because everything the guy has been doing, it seems so reasonable until then. It's like, how could you not say? Yeah, he's batshit crazy. Trust me, he's black. Like, how could you not call that out?
Yeah. Do you know who Mizzy is?
Mizzy?
Yeah, he's like a black guy from like Great Britain, like London area.
Mizzy? No, I don't.
So like this is where pranking has gone shit.
Okay.
He just walks into people's houses.
Yeah.
So like literally breaking in.
That's so dumb.
Oh yeah. So trespassing, right?
Yeah.
Criminal trespass.
And then he
yeah. But like he goes up to women in the street and asks them if they want to die. And it's just like, this isn't pranking, dude. This is literally harassment.
This is anti-social.
But he considers it pranking. He thinks he's pranking people.
Well, it's just because we're clicking on their videos, on their stupid goddamn videos.
The only reason I know about him.
Comes up.
No. I know about because he was on Piers Morgan.
Yeah.
He got him on
the show. Was Piers berating him the whole time?
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Yeah, because he's like, I'm surprised no one's killed you.
Yeah, that guy finds his moral compass every now and then,
Yeah. Because
it's crazy.
I mean, I think he has more good takes than bad takes.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't follow him too often.
From what I've seen, I don't watch him liberally. Right?
Yeah.
So I from what I've seen.
Yeah.
So I agree with him on like the whole his stance on veganism.
That's right.
His stance on the pronoun usage.
Yeah.
Like his stance. Like
I found myself evolving on those topics as well, more leaning to the conservative side. It just sounds more medically.
That's exactly where I'm at, right? Because I'm middle of the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
but on those topics as well.
I have now been framed, and maybe it's true, but as a conservative, because I just don't agree with most of the crap that's going on.
Yeah, but we should also say we don't want to put ourselves in a box like that. It's just like we're just defining some of our.
But I mean, based off those opinions, right?
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah,
because some people are so far left, we would be framed as conservatives, which I might be true. I don't know.
Could be.
But I mean, I took the political spectrum test pretty recently.
Dead center.
A dead center.
Yeah,
that was impressively dead center. To the it's like almost a bullseye.
A hair to the maybe right is what happened?
No, to the left.
To the left is what happened. Which is, I think, for
just
the most part.
Just a dot.
And those questions were not exhaustive or in any way extremely sensitive. But what happened was you expected to be in the center. For as brief as the questions were, you were like, with these questions, even I anticipate I would be in the center. And you were like, dead in the center. That was impressive.
Yeah,
well, it would show that you do have some center-leaning or left-leaning concepts.
Yeah.
Not that we want to talk about it. We're not taking inventory of your positions, but it's the reasonable position to hold is see topics or political agendas or social topics for what they are and make up your mind based on the science, the empirical evidence, and then what you think would be the best for society.
Yeah, so
don't put yourself in a goddamn box, man.
Yeah. No. Well, I don't.
You don't. Right. Exactly. Like CRT, you're not dismissing it outright. You're saying...
I think because it's never any good to just eliminate an academia, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's never a good idea.
Yes.
I mean, if it's good academia, then it will thrive. If it's bad academia, it'll slowly fade away.
Correct. It will stand on its merit. If it has some,
if it has merits, it'll stand on them. But so in higher academia, I don't think it should be pushed on kids who can't even understand these freaking concepts.
Yeah, for sure.
They don't understand it, and all it does is make them feel bad.
Yeah, you do want to give them facts. Well, we don't want to dismiss kids as purely ignorant about the fact, but you want to give them facts. But don't
it's like when I was a kid, right? Yeah. My parents didn't tell me the difference between white kids and black kids or whatever. I clearly noticed there's differences. Like, hey, I'm different from her because she's black.
I think the extent of the conversation should be, yes, humanity is different in terms of phenotypically our appearances. Mm-hmm. Black people have more melanin in their skin. Okay? Yeah. There used to be sort of epigenetic, like you can trace back migration. of our ancestral come up, and you can clearly see we're all one people, right?
Yeah.
We take a 23andMe test and see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
You'll find yourself staring right back at Australopithecus afarensis, Lucy.
Yeah.
From 3.16 million years ago in the African plains.
Yeah, we all came from Africa.
Exactly. So you just can look at our evolution, our appearances.
Yeah.
That's not going to be an issue. That everybody's your brother and sister, but there are differences because our ancestors evolved in the tropics.
Everybody adapted for
different parts of the globe. Yeah,
climate reasons, right? Yeah,
correct. So that conversation would be: so why is my friend's skin color black? She happened to have more melanin in her skin.
Yeah.
How come I don't have it? Because our ancestors lived in Europe and above the
it's why people developed to be different heights and stuff like that.
Correct.
It's like why animals did it too.
Exactly. There are evolutionary reasons for why we look different, but you cannot attribute everything that we do. I mean, of course, for sure, people of marginalized groups based on their skin. America has had a checkered past in that regard. For crying out loud.
Every country
history
had their checkered past.
But for what we know, from what we know, yes, black people have.
But it just seems globally, we're the only country shamed for it.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, obviously, America is
great because Great Britain also did
superpower.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we do set trends in terms of how democracy should be.
Yeah. But like Africa was the head of the slave trade. They're not shamed for it.
Egypt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Egypt.
The Mesopotamia, Roman times. All these were crazy slavery times.
Oh yeah. Well,
just in my homeland, Ethiopia, there is now it's recently surfacing because people are like looking into history.
Yeah.
But there used to be the biggest exporters of slave were the largest ethnic group in Ethiopia. Used to export slaves from their own ethnic group.
Yeah.
To the Arab Emirates, to the what used to be the Arab Peninsula, and to Turkey.
I gotta ask you a question.
Yeah.
So did you see Viola Davis's movie?
Which one?
The Woman King.
Woman King. I couldn't really finish it.
Factually inaccurate because it's based off a real tribe, right?
Okay.
It's based off a real tribe.
Okay.
But they were they didn't do this in the movie because it'd be bad, right?
I didn't watch it. Like what happened?
Well, so they're depicted as like a heroic all-woman tribe.
Okay.
That they're the strongest tribe, right? Yeah. They always win.
Yeah.
Factually, historically, not true.
They got whooped.
They got slaughtered by the French 3 different times.
Yeah.
The French.
Oh my God. How you gonna do? Oh, I gotta do the French like that.
I'm French, dude.
I thought you were Irish.
And French and Irish.
Oh, okay. You want to claim the croissant and
the croissant
beer too.
But the French whooped their ass 3 times, and they were actually the main slavers for the biggest slave tribe because they worked for another tribe, which was bigger, and they gathered up slaves.
Well, you see,
but they didn't do that in the movie.
The optics of that does not translate well to when you want to make relatives look good. Okay,
exactly. Right.
But here's the truth: don't you think that does disservice to actually strong woman figure in history?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like just so you could make up some fucking story about a specific kind of colored community.
There's another thing. So there's like, I don't know. I don't know if this is a thing when you grew up. So there's I got these books read to me a lot when I was in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
It's like African like kid storybooks.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Anansi the Spider.
Nazi the Spider?
Anansi the Spider.
No.
Oh my God, dude! It was like these were from Africa, and like they were like a children's book. I gotta show you. That's what my teacher told me when I was a kid, though. So I don't know.
mean, your teacher might have pulled that out on her ass.
Maybe. Maybe.
I mean, it could be though. Like it's like I told you. You know how big Africa is.
It's very small, dude. Smallest country.
You can fit.
It's like
continental America, North America.
It's smaller than Australia, right?
You can fit because of the Mercator projection of the world map. People think America is just as big, or like maybe just comparable in size. You can fit 2 North American continental Americas, more than 3 actually. Anansi the Spider. Chris is showing me on his phone a children's book. That's kind of so that picture, that style, tells me West Africa and South Africa.
There's a ton of these books.
What's up with that? So what's special about that?
Well, it's just like him doing stuff through his life, but he's kind of like he's kind of like a hipster spider who just kind of gets into trouble, and like it's just life lessons kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I used to love these books. Like she'd read it. We'd go to the library and she'd read us like these books all the time. It was just like, why isn't this a fucking popular thing? It's like, you want to push black culture here in America?
Yeah.
It's like, why not this? I'm a white kid from upstate New York, and this was pushed up there. This is where I read these books in upstate New York.
And you found it cool.
I fucking loved it. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, someday we'll talk in detail about like my upbringing and our culture and the parallels. I'm sure that would be a fun episode. Yeah. But yeah, that looks cool, dude.
Dude, it was fucking. I loved reading those books when I was a kid.
Yeah, I know we're off topic, but you see this guy. No, we're not really though. If you think about it, because
it's talking about black culture.
Yeah, because this is the sort of conversation that people need to have, where you recognize the obvious facts.
Yeah.
You accept them as truth, ground them in science, and then move on forward.
Yeah.
To have a more productive content conversation in life, I think is how you should go about it.
It's like that for one, that's like a positive thing right there, right?
Yeah, that's like super positive. Yeah, for sure.
They're always like, well, black culture is not representative or African culture. They're trying to bring African culture.
And you're like, whoa, what about Anani the Spider?
Yeah, I know, Nazi the Spider. Like I
honestly thought you said Nazi the Spider. I'm like, what the fuck?
A Nazi. Yeah, Nazi the Spider, dude. He's doing the Zeke Heil.
Like whatever, a Nazi spider.
Yeah, Nazi spider, dude. You don't remember Nazi spider? It's got a Hitler mustache.
That should be the title of the episode, dude. Nazi spider, dude.
Nazi spider.
Yeah. I think we need to wind down. That was a pretty informative episode, I think.
Yeah, man, it was a good talk. It was a good talk.
Do you feel like do you have anything?
I covered pretty much everything I wanted to on it. I mean, it's I generally, in higher academia, it's okay. Stuff like that should be studied. Maybe if they want to do that in high school, maybe as an elective, maybe not as core.
Yeah.
But like before high school, I don't think it would be good to teach that.
It's a little.
Like as an elective, maybe.
Yeah.
Like in high school, maybe.
Kids that are.
That's a soft maybe on that.
Yeah. The whitest maybe.
Yeah, the whitest maybe on the on it being in high school. But if it was in high school as an elective, not as like core.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Core not what you need to require.
Well, it was awesome talking to you, Chris. As always, what can they listen to us on?
You can listen to us on Spotify. Teddy needs to get the logo updated so we can get on Apple Podcasts.
Should be done tonight.
Yeah. But which we are approved to be on Apple Podcasts. We just have to get the logo updated to be more pixels. Yeah. They want more pixels.
Everybody wants more pixels.
You can follow us on Twitter at @ABarelyPodcast. Again, if you're interested in buying coffee and supporting the podcast, go to coffeebrandcoffee.com. Use promo code BARELY, BARELY, at checkout and save 5%. And we really appreciate it. Again, shout out to the Z-Listers. We appreciate you. And we'll see you again next week.
All right, brother. Thank you.